thank you so very much, everyone, and welcome to the Manor Stage here at MagicCon Las Vegas. Who's excited for our preview panel of Magic Gathering Foundations? I can't wait to get underway. We've got all sorts of stuff to share with you today. We're going to talk through this Foundation set, what it's designed for, how and why it was designed, how you can access the cards that are going to be in it, what those cards are, and joining me to talk through every element of this new product that's coming out very soon from Wizards of the Coast. Please welcome to the stage Max McCall, Carmen Komparens, and Ari Zarulnik. Okie dokes, well, welcome one and all. It's great to be here with the three of you. Good to be talking through what is a very exciting product offering for many reasons, something that I'm sure many players will be looking forward to as we'll get into. But before we start talking about Foundations, let's talk about you. Why don't we go down the line and you can all introduce yourselves, tell the audience what your deal is, I guess. Go on.
Sure thing. Hello, I'm Max McCall. I'm the executive producer for Foundations, and so responsible for making sure we get to bring it to everyone and that everyone loves it as much as we do.
Howdy, gang. I'm a senior game designer over for Wizards of the Coast. I was the strong second for game design on the Foundations main set, and I led the starter collection as well.
Hi. Oh. Yeah. Hi, I'm Ari. I'm a creative lead on the world building team at Wizards of the Coast. I was a narrative lead on this set alongside Doug Beyer.
All right, so those are our three panelists here. We're having a little bit of difficulty hearing each other. We don't have a lot of feedback, so we might see if we can get some more of our own voice in on the stage monitors just to make sure we can all hear each other, because poor old Ari all the way down there, mate. A little bit difficult. Okay, I think we're coming through a little bit better now here. Okie doke. So, Max, I want to start with you. Yeah. Let's start at the most basic, at the most foundational level here. Let's talk about what this product is. Tell us, what is Foundations?
Yeah, so everyone is kind of on their own journey through
too much feedback there.
Magic, and they're getting all kinds of feedback about that from all sources. No, so Foundations is a set that's for everyone, no matter where they are in that journey. So, like, if you've been playing Magic for 30 years, Foundations has cards for you. But also, if you're new to Magic, or if you're just getting into Magic, Foundations has all the things you need to become immersed into the game.
And this is where we want to start, obviously, with Foundations being a starting point for newer players. And there is something that has specifically been tailored for that new player experience. We're talking like new player, the first time they're playing with Magic cards.
Beginners, if you will.
The very well named, I'm sure you'll agree.
We should make a box for
Beginner box.
Yes. Yeah. So the Beginner box is a product for people who are new to Magic as of Foundations. We've made a lot of different ways in which people can learn to play Magic over the years, right? Many folks are familiar with different kinds of starter kits and so on and so forth. What we've done with the Beginner box is first done a lot to just improve kind of the basic tutorialization around Magic itself. The hardest thing that people experience when they're learning how Magic works is just how to cast spells and how to attack and how all of that works. We've done entirely new research around the best way to teach all of these to different folks. Like, for example, when a lot of people are learning to play, they're like, oh, I tap mana and I play my creature. And it's like, yeah, that's how that works. And then they're like, okay, and the next turn I'll go to attack and I'll pay for my creature again. And it's like, no, actually.
Don't have to do that.
Yep, creature's a one-time
There's no installment plan.
Right, absolutely. You pay once and then you're good to go. And so we've done a lot to improve both the actual tutorialization around that, but then also done a lot to sort of be like, hey, in the past we've done a lot to create products such that you don't need, with the idea of extra stuff is annoying and hard to teach with, but actually, as soon as you go play Magic with anybody, you're going to use tokens, you're going to use counters, you're going to use cards you haven't seen.
Things that a lot of these beginner products have sort of avoided in the past. Right. It's like, oh, we'll get to that, but that actually ended up being a bit of a roadblock for new players eventually.
Right, yeah, and that's one of the other things we've done is the cards that are useful for teaching people are in the beginner box, and therefore they don't need to be in the main foundation set. And that's another big departure from previous sets like this, where instead of oh, we need this card to be a teaching tool and therefore we have to put it in the main set, and if you've been playing for a long time, you don't want anything to do with it, those cards are only in the beginner box where we need them to teach new players, but they're not in the main set where people are just like trying to open packs. And
right. So we're going to talk about boosters and the main set a little bit later on. But the cards that we're looking at now, these beginner box cards, these aren't in the main set. This is part of an experience tailored for new players.
Right. I mean, there's a couple of cards that overlap, but like there's nothing like foundational about it. The main idea is like these are the cards that are good for teaching and learning, and then those are here, and then the cards that are fun to play with or put in your commander deck or whatever, those are in the main set.
Okay. All right. Do you want to talk us through some of the cards that we are going to see in the beginner box here? We don't have to spend too long on them. They are classics in many ways.
Right.
Just to give us a bit of a taste of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, so like, we start people out. It's like, okay, here's a Cats deck. You're going to be playing against a Vampires deck. And again, we're going
Cat people, make some noise!
we're going to like use Savannah Alliance to just sort of be like, hey, here's a pretty clean creature that's also, by the way, an actual real Magic card that people have played with seriously over the years. Use those to teach people what's up, and then have them play against the Vampires deck. Ajani and Liliana are offering kind of like color commentary on your game. As you can imagine, Ajani's a little bit more supportive than Liliana, and have those folks play against one another.
And we've got, so there are some images of the cat cards that people can see, but I think we've also got some pictures of some of the vampire cards as well.
That's right. Yeah, so you start out with this Cats deck, you're playing against the Vampire deck. That's great. Again, this is the sort of like guided experience that you're maybe familiar with from other starter products we've made. But the other thing that the beginner box has is like one of the problems that a lot of those starter kits had was you finish playing your first game and you're like, okay, cool. I have starter deck A and starter deck B. What should I do next? Oh, I guess I'll play again. Oh, I guess I'll play again. And then it's like, well, like the fun thing about Magic is playing with different cards against different decks and so on and so forth. And so the other thing at the beginner box is there's the Cats and the Vampires deck, and then there's 8 other Jumpstart decks in there.
Nice.
So you can mix and match. And like, oh, I'm going to start out with the white deck and the black deck, and then I want to try out green cards. I want to try out red cards. I want to try out red and green cards on the same deck. And there's a lot of opportunity to sort of bring that together in a Jumpstart-like experience and get people into the game. And also, by the way, like if you're using this to teach your friends, it's much more fun to teach them with like these Jumpstart decks than with these starter decks over and over again. Yeah,
for sure. It gives players an opportunity to mix and match, have a different experience instead of just jamming the same blue-black deck against the same red-white deck that you bought as intro packs.
Right. It's like, I want to try different kinds of blue decks, like Pirates versus Wizards. And again, try out all the different colors. I should emphasize, so there's a full Jumpstart release with Foundations.
Yes.
Foundations Jumpstart. And so that's like a full Jumpstart release. It's like Jumpstart 2021 or 22. And it's got the whole works. These aren't Jumpstart packs. They're they're decks that every beginner box has the same 10 decks in them. And a lot of the idea is like, hey, like you can use these to see how Magic decks are more than the sum of their parts. Like, oh, like a lot of new players like gaining life, and then it's like, oh, Johnny's Primate gets better when I'm gaining life. And there's a lot of like, oh, now I see
sort of unlock some of those like basic learnings that set you to understand. Oh, like you get to the point of, oh, that you can do this, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we're not teaching them how to build decks or anything like that, but we're sort of like hinting at like, hey, like one day you're going to want to build your own deck, and these are the kinds of things that can become exciting when you're doing that.
And it looks like we've got some of these cards here that are appearing in some of these themed decks. It looks like there's a very strong identity to these Jumpstart themed, whatever we're calling them, the starter decks or whatever you want to call them. Cards like Elvish Archdruid, like that's an iconic card from Magic's history that gives you a very clear picture of like what the deck is wanting to do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these were chosen with the idea of we want to expose people kind of like the base level of what Magic is about. So hey, the red deck like has dragons and it has cards that care about dragons. The green deck has elves and cards that are good with elves. The Pirates and Wizards are up to like magical tricky stuff. And then again, like Life Gain is this really popular theme for new players. It's very exciting for them to like get paid to do the thing that they're naturally gravitated towards. And like a Johnny's Primate is actually a very strong card when you're getting a lot of life. And so like we're not kidding around.
So Carmen, I want to bring it to you now and talk about the next step after the beginner box, right? Because I went through this phase. I'm sure everyone out here in the audience went through the phase of like, I was borrowing cards off people. I was like playing with other people. I was like, I'm not a Magic player. I'm someone who plays Magic, but I'm not a Magic player. But I knew it was coming. I knew the moment was coming. And at one point, this is back in 2012. I was like, no, I'm going to make the next step. I'm going to start like my own collection.
Right.
And there's an element of this new set, Carmen, that you can tell us about the starter collection that is
Right.
designed to do exactly that, start someone's collection as they become a Magic player, capital M, capital P.
Yeah, definitely. So the starter collection, in a lot of ways, is a ton of cards. We're just throwing a ton of stuff at you. There's a bunch of rares. There's a lot of really cool stuff. We're going to talk about some specific cards later on, but big picture, I think something that a lot of us went through at the beginning of our Magic journey was we all had the queen of the anime club or an older brother or someone like that who just shoved a shoebox at you and was like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Just build a deck out of this. And we all had some card or something, maybe an interaction that we built a deck around that we fell in love with, and that's how we made it here, right? We found something to love about Magic, channeled that, and it just dominoed from there. And I really wanted to put a lot of work into trying to capture things that just felt like you were going through the ultimate shoebox.
Yeah. So this idea of having a shoebox sort of pre-built for you, right? Like an ultimate shoebox filled with cards that you can dig through, explore, find new angles or elements of deck building that you want to take further. It's something that can accelerate your career of becoming an actual, real Magic player, real Magic fan. But my question for you is, how did you decide which cards went in for the ultimate shoebox?
So one of the jokes that goes around the office a lot is that I know every Magic card, which is not entirely true, but I probably know like 80% of them or something.
It's basically true.
It's true adjacent. And
True adjacent.
so even on Modern Horizons 3 was a set I worked on where like callbacks were kind of the thing that everyone came to me for. So I had a lot of space knowing a bunch of cards, and I've done a lot of cube curation for Magic Online and the like, and kind of have an idea of how to treat cards as puzzle pieces to put them together. And there are a few different things that I wanted cards to accomplish whenever they're in this. So tournament staples are just sort of the first thing that I really want to focus on, because I think a trap that a lot of new player products fell into early on is they kind of gave you diet Magic. Almost, right, where you kind of get to maybe get some intro deck card that you fall in love with, but then you go to the card store and the person behind the counter pats you on the head and goes, great, it's time to learn about real Magic cards now.
And this is what I want to bring up. When we were looking through some of the cards that we're going to preview in this panel, I was surprised to see top tier, like high caliber tournament staples. This isn't training wheel Magic. This isn't baby's first Magic set. These are cards that you can take to the Pro Tour, really.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're talking about cards like Maelstrom Pulse. We're talking about cards like Lyra Dawnbringer. These are cards that have had huge impacts in Constructed, and they're not the only ones either.
Right, yeah. These are all things where I really want the old heads at the store to just go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've played with Maelstrom Pulse. That takes me back.
Right.
Like Darksteel Colossus is one where that was the first card I ever fell in love with at an LGS. That was one where I saw it in somebody's binder and I just thought, oh my god, I don't know how to build a deck out of this, but I have to. I'm going to clobber them with this. It just looks so sweet, and I really want players to be able to thumb through this, and no matter what kind of Magic player they might be, they're going to have something to fall in love with. It's going to actually be a really cool thing that they can take with them wherever they want to go in Magic.
Yeah, I recommend falling in love with Ball Lightning, by the way.
Oh, Ball Lightning is just a class. I mean, old Magic players love to just say, oh, Ball Lightning.
The kids these days don't understand.
No.
I mean, I'm excited to see Gilded Lotus here. One of my favorite mana rocks. I think it's a little underrated these days.
Doesn't get the respect it deserves.
No, absolutely not.
No.
It's got a scary 5 mana cost, but it's a 2 mana spell you can cast on turn 5.
Right.
Is how you got to look at it. It's sick.
It's almost like it's so ubiquitous, it almost just like everyone kind of expects it. But like the first time I ever saw it, I was just like, I just get a Black Lotus every turn.
Right.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's golden even.
Right. And, going a little further, really trying to make sure that players are getting ready to be able to play whatever kind of Magic it is that they want to play. A combo. There is a combo in the starter collection if you are someone who happens to actually like playing with the broken parts of Magic. So if we want to move on to the next one, you can actually kind of have these sort of moments where you read a card like Harmless Offering and you go, what?
Why would I ever cast this? This is the worst card that's ever been printed.
Why did they even make this?
Yeah.
But then later you're thumbing through and you go, oh, Demonic Pact. Okay, cool. Ugh. Wait, hold on a second. And then you thumb through and you go, oh, I can do something with this. And I really cared a lot about trusting our audience, I think is the best way to put it. I really wanted to give players the tools to learn things on their own. Like, I think for a lot of us, Magic is really engaging, and it's fun to build your own decks and learn things about the game as you play it.
Well, something that really appealed to me, Carmen, and I know as well was probably a very big part of this with your background as a competitive player. With my background, casting the Pro Tour, all of that sort of stuff, I look at this through the lens of a competitive player. I like casual formats, I play a lot of Commander, but like competitive Magic, I think, is where the game, for me, resonates the most. And one thing I was really excited to see was that there is a very real on-ramp to playing competitive Magic with Foundations because of the nature of some of the cards that are included here. Sideboard staples. Cards that players will learn, oh, I don't want to play this all the time, but when it's good, it's really, really good. We can bring up some of these disruptive, sort of more sideboard-focused cards that people will be looking to play here, but these are the nuts and bolts of competitive, spiky Magic, and I'm so pleased to be seeing, I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but Negate is just one of my favorite cards.
I mean, it's one of the things, right, where like you're traveling to a Magic event, and it was always like a fun card topic, even before I worked in Wizards, where you're like, oh, what cards should be legal forever? What should they always make sure is around? And like Duress, Negate, these are things that got reprinted like every few sets because they are just sort of the fundamental building blocks of how Magic is played for a lot of people. And one of the things that the starter collection is doing is it is contributing to standard legality, and this sort of sets an expectation, hey, if I go down to my LGS, I want to play FNM, these are the kinds of cards I can expect to play with, and if I get tired of losing to my friend's corny Cat Pack deck, I can disenchant something, right?
Wow.
And we can bring up, oh, sorry, go ahead, Max.
Oh, no, I was just thinking there was cat shit, I couldn't handle it.
Yes, we're gonna, but this set gives us the tools that we need in order to deal with whatever our opponents may be throwing at us, and also gives us a sense of like, oh, these are tools that are going to be available to us for quite a long time, for years. You know, you can settle into a sideboard with cards like Duress, Negate, whatever else, and be confident that they're going to stick around. There are other cards as well, Carmen, that we can talk about that are even more specifically designed to take down certain decks or strategies.
Yeah, so we have these color hosers, which are they're not quite as pointed as something like Soul Guide Lantern or Sorcerer's Spyglass, like we saw in the previous slide, but these are the things for when you're tired of losing to your buddy's mono black deck. That's something I think we've all been through at some point. I think these sort of color-specific hosers are things that all of us have played at some point, and it is a really good way of kind of giving you that middle ground to, I haven't quite figured out how to sideboard yet, but I know that where I'm supposed to bring in Deathmark, right?
Yeah. You're given very clear indications of when that should be happening. It reminds me of personally, the on-ramp that I had to Magic was I played with 4 other friends, and we all had a color. And I was blue, and PJ played white, and Ben played black, and Alec played red.
Yep.
And I've forgotten the other guy's name, but he played green. Ooh. But so having these cards, like, oh yeah, I'm going to bring in Deathmark, and I'm going to make a life hell for my opponent. These are, again, there's an educational aspect to it that Carmen, I think, is something that is also really drill down on when it comes to what I want to talk about next. Something that we see in high-level sets now in the draft, the drafting that goes on at LGSs, at regional championships, even at the Pro Tours, we see signpost cards. We see multicolor cards, gold cards that give you an indication, oh, this is what I want to be doing in this color pair. And this also appears in Foundations. Right,
exactly. There are a bunch of multicolor cards that kind of give you an idea of what it is this color pair is going to be about. Something like Cloud Blazer, you're probably going to be doing a bunch of blinking of creatures. Mystical Teachings is kind of giving you an idea. There are a lot of ways that a card can be multicolor. This could just be a mono blue card.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's totally, like, no one will arrest you if you put this in your mono blue deck. But if you mix a little bit of black mana in there, you kind of know you want to be playing during your opponent's turn, instant cards, stuff like that. Helena and Elena, they're laying the beat down. We've all played against the Gruul deck that's just like, all right, I'm going to play big knuckleheads, faces the place, I'll see you in the combat step, you know?
Yep, and these cards give you that very clear indication. I'm not surprised by this, but it is a little sad that there wasn't a big raucous round of applause for the fact that Mystical Teachings is going to be legal in Standard for the next There are dozens of us. Dozens, I say. No, I'm very, very excited to see the Mystical Teachings.
It was one of the ones I had to just go, come on, trust me, it's fine. So anyway, if it blows up, my bad.
What's the worst that could happen?
I can't wait for it. It is the card that just does nothing and does more nothing and more nothing and more nothing until you're sitting there with 9 cards in hand and the board's empty and you're like, I'll win this game in my own time. Thank you very much. But this brings us to another aspect of Magic that is a very, very, very important part of playing the game. It's usually the first action we take as a game begins, and that is playing a land. And there are some lands that I know many people will be happy to see back in Standard. Many people have very fond memories, myself included, of these all the way back in the original Theros, and they're here to stay now with Foundations. They're going to be around for a good while coming.
Right, and you can get all 10 of the temples are in the starter collection every time. This is just kind of saying, hey, dual lands are good. I know when all of us are newer, we kind of just expect our mana to learn to just work, right? So this, getting that little bit of scry on there teaches you, hey, you probably want to try playing with this a little bit. So it's good and directional when you're newer, but even as you start to make that transition towards your local game store, playing with other people, you're playing with real cards. We heard murmurs here. These are sweet cards that have tournament pedigree. These I feel like a broken record saying these are real cards.
No, but their proven track record speaks for itself. These temples were top-tier competitive playables, and coming to your LGS as part of that on-ramp playing, in the bigger leagues, you're not going to feel totally outclassed by the people who've been playing for years, and that's really important.
Right, and they're just fun to play with. They're so satisfying. Like, come on.
Keep any hand. The top card could be anything you want.
It could be my second land.
Right.
You know how bad this hand needs one of those.
If it's not, you just put it on the bottom. Then the next card's definitely a land. Of course, every time.
What are we doing with the mana, though? Is the question. Ari, you got any ideas?
Yeah. Well, actually, this next card I think is particularly exciting. So, growing up with the classic 7th, 8th edition starter kits, a signature thing was you would always get a cool green promo, like Rocks or Thorn Elemental or Elvish Champion. Yeah, everyone loves Elvish Champion. So we wanted to do something cool here while also introducing people to the concept of booster fun, like Magic cards can look different and be exciting. So we have the coolest creature that you could cast for 5 mana in the game, which is Gigantosaurus.
Now, I'm very concerned about this. The creative team, I think, have we get these full art textless promos, right? There's been Cryptic Command way back when. There was the more recent Urza Saga. This is a set that is aimed for new players. How are we expecting them to remember the rules text of Gigantosaurus if it's being printed in a full art textless promo? Ari?
I understand your concern here, and I think it's really valid. But the thing is, Gigantosaurus, it does 10-10.
Yeah, come on. It has a cost at the top, business end at the bottom.
And that's it. That's it. It's probably the most appropriate full textless promo we've ever seen. So there you go. For all the green mages out there who love their big dumb beaters, that we've got you covered with that. So we've talked about the beginner box. We've talked about the starter collection, the ultimate shoebox. Ari, I want to bring you in here to talk about the main Foundation set itself. This is a regular set in the sense that it's coming out in boosters. You can draft these boosters. It's sort of a much more it's the experience that we're used to, right? That we're looking to with regular Magic sets. But tell us about the goals of Foundations. Tell us about what this set is aiming to achieve.
Sure. Yeah. So the base concept behind Foundations is we want to answer the question: what if we made a set called Magic: The Gathering? And I like to think that we've answered that here. Another concept that we threw around a lot in development is, quote unquote, the implication of tantalizing depth, which is to say that each card should be a window into another part of Magic that's either shows you something very exciting for a new player or reminds you of something you really love as an experienced player. There's a lot of stuff in here. Like, this is a set for new players, but there's nothing, like, pushed down about it. This has all the fun, the charm, and the approachability of a full set, and I think we'll all find stuff that we're really stoked about here.
Right. Like, for example,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So that's the big picture, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a set that is attempting to kind of hook people, reel them in the same way that Magic reeled all of us in at some point or another. So that's good to hear. It's exciting. I'm glad we've got an on-ramp for our new players, but I know that there will be people out there who are wanting to see the cards themselves.
I guess we could show some cards. You want to see some cards?
Let's ease into it here, Ari. Let's ease into it here. Let's introduce the basic lands that we're going to see, and we'll start with the most basic of basic lands before we ramp up into the more special basics and some of the implications of them. Go ahead.
There are some pretty special basics coming up, but just to start, there's 2 cycles of regular basic lands in the set, and for this first cycle, the art director Don Murin and myself, we looked through every single basic land that has ever been printed in the history of Magic the Gathering, and we picked out the ones that we felt were superlatives. This is the plainsiest plains, the islandiest island, the swampiest swamp, etc. Just really exciting pieces that feed the imagination. And for the next set, however, how do you hook a new player into Magic the Gathering? How did I get hooked into Magic the Gathering? Well, there is Rebecca Gay.
These are
Shout out to the audience. That's the correct answer.
these lands are exquisite. They're the sorts of things that do capture the imagination of certain players, and they're here now in Foundations.
Sorry?
So these ones now, these are going to be part of the regular basics that are going to be in Foundations packs.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, but they're not the only ones.
That's true. There is also 2 cycles of full art lands coming up. So Foundations has 10 quote-unquote main characters, 5 planeswalkers, and 5 legends that you can kind of get to know and grow attached to, and the current plan is for all 10 of these characters to appear in each of the upcoming sets coming out. So you see them in Foundations, and you will soon see them in another main set. To start off on the plains, we have a Johnny here on Theros, and we have Giada on New Capenna for the islands. We've got Zamone on Strixhaven, and Kaito having a soak on a Kamigawa rooftop. It's looking good. For Swamp, we have Liliana on Innistrad.
Hold on, sorry, we had a guy in the back.
Where's the second?
There
was a second one.
Show
we'll figure
must
that
go
out.
on.
I definitely put 2 in the presentation.
We'll come back to it.
No, we got our guy.
Liliana on the Swamp. Sorry.
We have a guy on it.
I just hope no one stole it. All right, let's move on. Mountains. We have Chandra here in the Mountains of Kaladesh, and we have Kellen running through Thunder Junction. And then finally for the forest, we've got Lute climbing a tree on Amonkhet, and Vivian in the forests of Ikoria. So you're going to see all, I guess, 9 + 1 of these characters.
But who could that last character be?
Well, I heard they caught him.
They've caught him. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Who is the missing black character?
Yeah. Okay, we got it.
Who is the missing black mana character? Let's see if we can find out who it is.
Oh, Tiny Bones.
No wonder the swamp went missing. He's gone and pilfered it. He's burgled it.
He's a little scamping around.
So these are, again, this is a way to sort of enfranchise newer Magic players with established Magic players through these characters that we all know and love so much. But Carmen, we've gone back a lot further than that with some of the reprints that are appearing in Foundations. Carmen, how far back have we gone?
All the way to Alpha. So
as far back
that
as
mission
possible
statement before. One more time?
As far back as it's possible.
Yeah, literally. So the first set that was basically called Magic the Gathering, right? That is what we're trying to do again now. We combed through all of Alpha and wanted to find as many cards as we could that we're able to pull forward and still can kind of hang today and have a pretty good time with. We really want to make sure this isn't just the new player set. This is a fun set that the old heads are going to enjoy too. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I understand I'm on the stage right now, but I generally had a lot of fun playing with this and just getting to slam people with Juggernaut again, you know?
Yeah, these are just iconic pieces of Magic's history. These are touchstone cards, right, that we talk about it's just part of Magic's vernacular, and they're here in Foundations as well. But there are also some very exciting old reprints as well. We're going to come to some new cards very shortly, but Carmen, one final stop here at some old fan favorites.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of top-down reprints that I like to say they do what they say on the 10. Right? You think, we want to teach Magic players or new Magic players about expression through Magic cards. You go, think twice. Okay. Think, flashback. I think again. I get it. Time stop. What would time stop do? End the turn. Oh my God, a Magic card can do that? And just trying to have those sort of exciting moments where you learn how to sort of express things that aren't just pieces of cardboard with cardboard and make them exciting was sort of one of the really important things that we tried to prioritize whenever we were hunting reprints.
And we've got some others as well to have a look at here. Some really, really huge cards in every sense that are going to be that are coming back here. Max, have you got some thoughts? The cards we're seeing here?
Yeah, I mean, so there are people call themselves Magic boomers now. I'm like Magic silent generation. So Progenitus is actually now from the old days, which is horrifying. But even when Progenitus had come out, at that time, I was already a Magic boomer, and yet it hadn't occurred to me protection from everything is something that can be done on a Magic card.
Like Carmen said,
right.
You can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It means it has protection from everything.
Which?
Well, you can't do that. Whatever you're thinking of, you can't do it.
Damn.
Nope. Yeah. So I cast Natural Order, and then 10, 10.
I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah, it's a good combo. Natural Order not in there. That one's a little much. But yeah, Progenitus is great. Stormkirk Bloodchief, again, just hit people with your vampires. Your vampires are bigger. Hit them again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a card that sort of teaches you a little lesson.
Absolutely.
And speaking of being taught lessons, my friends out there in the audience, you're going to be taught a very, very sharp lesson if you thought that you were safe on exactly 10 life at any point against anyone with mountains in their deck. Ari, you want to tell us about another classic Magic card that is going to end games a lot faster than people thought?
Yeah, of course. Let's take a look at Hidetsugu's Second Right.
It's back.
It's back, and it's got
back.
brand new art. We get to see a new take on classic Hidetsugu. There's a lot of little sneaky things in the art, like there's 10 candles representing the 10 damage. There's a lot of fun stuff. And it's an uncommon now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna lose a lot of games to this. It's gonna be one of those things like you think you say 10 life. They're not
It's happened. I assure you this came up in playtesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Someone attacking, you go, oh God, I might want to go to 9 instead of 10, actually.
Yeah. It's it'll get you. So be ready for that. But also, I imagine you're now ready to see some of the brand new cards. So we're not pulling our punches. We're going to start, Ari, with some high-level, hugely powerful mythic rares that show off some of the iconic creature types that people love to play with in Magic.
So we want to be introducing players to the big splashy creature types that everybody loves. Like, I don't know, dragons?
Oh, we got some dragon fans out here. Let's have a look at a dragon here. We've got Twin Flame Tyrants.
This dragon's got twice as much dragon per dragon as your average dragon. So.
These are this is a classic effect, your damage doubler, and now it appears on a huge flying dragon. So something for us all to either look forward to or live in very deep fear of. But not the only iconic creature type we're showing off here, Max.
No, certainly not. Are there angel fans? All right.
Well, I think we're doing a vampire first.
Is that true?
Are there angel fans? Good, because we've got a vampire to show you.
Got him. We got him. Yeah, I mean, so one of the things I actually love doing with new designs is taking old enchantments that were iconic and ruled and just putting creatures into them. So turning Exquisite Blood into a vampire, both makes it more exciting in itself and also gives your opponent more counterplay to be able to deal with it. So it's actually more fun for both players and also is automatically cooler because it's a creature.
And I'm sure eagle-eyed viewers out there have already noticed the very neat little Easter egg in the flavor text of the card. This town swims with such exquisite blood.
He said the secret card.
The thing.
Very, very good. Anyway, Carmen, for fans of angels in the audience,
Good news, bad news. Good news, bad news, you might have already seen this card. Good news, it rocks. It's one of my favorite cards in the set. I think it's my favorite new card. This is the Herald of Eternal Dawn. Platinum Angel was one of the first cards that I ever saw that gave me that, oh my god, a Magic card can do that? How do you even beat that? And this is one that we've showcased it twice today because it's been really awesome in playtesting, and I've really loved playing with it. If you're an Angels fan, this is a card that you are really going to want to get to play with.
and Ari, we've got some returning, some familiar faces, but returning in all new forms.
Yeah, no, the legends in this set all come from Magic somewhere. You've seen them before, or you've read about them in the story. They're all existing characters that you can research about and learn more and discover new things. For instance,
We have a new version of Niv Mizzet, a new version of Arabo, and Zul Ashur.
Yeah.
Tell us about a little bit about all these cards, Ari.
oh, absolutely. So, yeah, we all know Niv. There's been a few Nivs out there. This one, Niv's as hard as the rest of them. It's very cool. We have Arabo being printed in a main set for the very first time, previously only seen as the face commander of the Cat Commander deck from several years ago. Now there's a new Arabo, which is very cool. And then we have Zul Ashur, who you might be thinking, who's Zul Ashur? And I say, maybe you should read more M12 flavor text.
And
Zul
both
Ashur's
Niv
been-
Mizzet.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right, so both Zul Ashur and Niv Mizzet also are doing something that we're trying to hit on a lot in this set. These are things that are true to the character, but they're open-ended, and they sort of inspire you to build a certain kind of deck. And that means that new players are going to see Niv Mizzet for the first time, and they're going to kind of have an idea of what it's about, but those old players are still going to go, oh, okay, that's still, like, it's a new Niv Mizzet. We all know what he's about, and creating that connection to bridge the divide between new Magic players, just being Magic players was it's everything.
This Niv Mizzet also very good friends with the old Niv Mizzet.
Right.
Yeah, Niv Mizzet, ever the egotist, naturally goes infinite with himself.
He hires his most trusted advisor.
Yeah, Niv Mizzet.
Niv Mizzet, exactly. yeah. So while you won't see Niv Mizzet Perun in Foundations, this will be a great way to pair up an old classic with a brand new version of the same card. One day, soon,
Yeah,
we will be able to build commander decks that are just Niv Mizzet.
we can only hope.
We can only hope.
We're
But,
doing
it's
our part.
Yeah, it's going to be Command Tower, Sol Ring, a bunch of lands, and then just like 60 Niv Mizzets.
Exactly.
And a Niv Mizzet to you.
Something really important to call out here, though, as you can see, this is pre-Guild Pact Niv Mizzet. This set is timeline agnostic. It takes place outside of the storyline. So you will see characters who have changed. You will see characters who have since died. You will just see different takes. And they're all just meant to be gateways to existing stories and future things as well.
Speaking of gateways, why don't we take a walk through the Omen paths now to across the multiverse to all the different planes that we're going to be showing off in this set. Ari, we're representing the multiverse, as you say, in a timeline agnostic manner, but we're representing it in all sorts of different ways through some of these new cards that are appearing in Foundations.
Yeah, no, it was very important to us to represent as many planes as we possibly could. So we made a very fancy spreadsheet and tracked down all our planes, the percentage of representation and stuff, and we ended up in a place I think everyone will be really excited about. With these 4 new cards alone, you're seeing Ikoria, you're seeing Kaldheim, you're seeing Kamigawa, and you're seeing Zendikar, and you're seeing mechanics that are representative of stuff you would find there, right, Carmen?
Right, and a lot of these mechanics were things that I was very staunch about early on, that I wanted to help Magic players reinforce good habits by the cards kind of reinforcing muscle memory.
Yeah.
Raid is an example of one that in the very first meeting I went to Brian, the set lead, and I said, I'm very positive Raid needs to be in this set. And he went, okay, you know what, I'll hear you out. Why? And I go, it tells you to do 2 things. One, you should be attacking more. I used to coach back when I was a professional Magic player. Biggest thing people didn't do was attack enough. It also teaches you to cast your creatures in your second main phase, so you can pretend you have a combat trick, whatever it is. it just helps reinforce those good fundamentals to make it so that whenever you do go to FNM for the first time, maybe you decide you want to try out an RCQ, whatever it is, you're more likely and better set up to be able to hang with the people who have been going to these things for years.
I think it's a good point because it's one of the things that you have to learn, that you can play an instant in your opponent's end step, that you don't have to main phase a Titanic growth, for instance. And you know, while I'm still very guilty of this, particularly on Arena, because I don't want to have to click, I'll just like,
spacebar,
attack,
yeah,
just
yeah,
get my
yeah.
turn over with. Teaching sort of the identities of certain strategies or cards, even something like Mossborn Hydra with Landfall, making the strong thematic and mechanic connection between the plane of Zendikar, having big creatures, and land entering the battlefield having an effect. It's sort of something that we all understand as enfranchised players.
Yeah, and also just like put enough lands in your deck that you can trigger all of your landfall, which also secretly means you put enough lands in your deck that you can actually cast all of your spells,
play Magic,
which people aren't necessarily good at.
Oh yeah.
We've all had some 18 land, 80 card monstrosity at some point where it's like, listen, this Achroma is going to get on the battlefield if I have to take 80 turns. I don't know.
Right, which frequently you do.
I'll get it on my 7th mulligan. It'll be fine.
That literally, I'm always saying this.
Yeah, really.
Max, I want to come back to you now to talk about one of the other things that's covered off that we've sort of touched upon earlier. We've already talked about the main set. We've talked about, you know, we're going to be able to draft it, right? It's a draftable set.
Right.
But there's a product line, I guess, that is coming back with Foundations that is designed for those moments where maybe you don't have 8 people. Maybe you don't have an entire evening to set aside to play limited Magic. Foundations has still got us covered.
Yeah, so Foundations has a full Jumpstart release.
Yes.
So Jumpstart is, you take so Jumpstart packs have 20 cards in them. Every pack has a theme. Some of the themes we showed earlier, like there's elves, or some stuff that gets more wacky. There's like Blank of the Coast, or Scary, or whatever. And then any 2 Jumpstart packs makes a deck. So like you and I were going to lunch, like, hey, we want to battle. There's no time to build a sealed deck. There's no time to do anything else. You just open 2 Jumpstart packs, shuffle them together, and play, and you're off to the races. And then like the other thing that's really good for is for folks, again, who are newer, or are playing with someone who is newer, like one of the challenges those people have is like deck building is like very hard. Like eventually you get to a point where you're like, oh yes, I'm excited to like have this carefully curated Scryfall search that has like all these parameters. But for a lot of people, when you're first starting out, it's just much more challenging to figure out even what should be in there.
Yeah.
But like again, the thing that's fun about Magic is playing with new decks in new ways, and so Jumpstart gives you a new deck, a new building, a new experience without having to go through all the hoops of having to build the deck yourself. Shuffle 2 packs, you're ready to go, and you're off to the races.
And before we move on to our next phase here, I know that here at a MagicCon, we're talking to highly enfranchised players. We're talking to people who are deeply invested in the game, and you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, you know, this is nice, it's fine, but it's not for me. But the thing I want to point out to you here is like, if you've had that friend who has always been like, nah, I'm not like, it's cool that you're into Magic, but like, it's not my thing, right? I'm not going to get it. This is that on-ramp for them.
Right.
This is the way that you trick them into playing this game.
Right,
you get the
long
Jumpstart
con.
packs and
this is a full Jumpstart too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, and you know, between me and 1,000 of my favorite
Of our
people,
closest friends,
the distributors actually got us some of this a little bit early, and I was able to talk a certain executive producer and letting me slip a couple boxes of it in my bag. So if you run into me this weekend, maybe you want to see some new cards, I would love to grab a game.
Very nice. All right. Okay. There you go. I'm excited about that. All right. Let's talk collection. Ari, let's talk about what this set offers for the collector, because Magic is a game that we all love to play, but for many people, it's a trading card game, it's a collectible card game, it's a game that people interact with in many different ways. So what does Foundations have to offer for the collector?
Well, like many sets, it will have collector boosters, which are very exciting here. We wanted to introduce the idea of Magic of collectibles to new people. So the collectability treatments in this set are less complicated than some we've seen in the past, and are really straightforward and exciting and beautiful. For instance,
I believe that we've got borderless cards to show you here. So these are some of the cards that we've already talked about throughout this preview. Ari, you brought up an interesting point.
Yeah,
You're
no,
running
About
the
the
numbers
borderless cards. I
earlier.
was very. This will blow your mind. This fact that
Yeah.
Ari brought up. This is quite incredible.
So I was running I was late. I was working late one night. Like I was in the office. I was alone. The lights were off, and I was running the numbers, and I realized that this set has about 70 borderless cards in it, which is almost 70 more borderless cards than were in alpha, which is crazy.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And that took you a long time to figure out, huh?
It did.
Yeah.
I only have 10 fingers, so
You're taking your shoes off, using your toes. Yeah, I get it.
I mean,
All right.
I was alone in the office. So.
But yes, as you said, 70 borderless cards. But we've also got a special treatment here. I believe we can show you the mana foil here. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so this is similar to the Step and Complete foil that was in All Will Be One, but obviously it's full color. And we have this step and repeat pattern of all the mana symbols, and it looks so good.
This
in
does
person.
not do it justice.
Yeah.
I like to make pretty.
This is the implication of tantalizing depth of what this booster fund looks like.
And we've also got some treatments of certain cards, Carmen, that people may find familiar. But again, this is a way of tying in Magic's history and helping new players to become accustomed or sort of bought into the culture of the game.
Right, so we do have special guests in the set because Foundations is a real Magic set. This is something where we want Magic players to feel like that they aren't getting the diet version of Magic whenever they buy these packs. So you can see Temporal Manipulation getting the same treatment that you saw on Neo Kamigawa, Embercleave getting the Enchanted Tales frame. These are cards that are super iconic and super sick. We really want players to feel like they're not getting put at the kids' table at Thanksgiving or something like that. And we really, I think we came out with a lot of these special guests that you'll find.
That reflect, again, iconic either cards or planes or just... this one thing that really stands out to me that we've seen from Foundation so far is that it's not just an on-ramp for people to learn how to play the game, but it's an on-ramp for people to become invested and become a part of Magic's history and a part of Magic's culture. And I think that's really important. We've got a couple of other special treatments. Ari, the Japan showcase. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like many recent sets. Take a second to look at those. Like many recent sets, we have 10 Japan Showcase cards, so this is just half of them. They're all available in regular treatment and the fractured foil treatment. And these are really
I
expensive.
nearly dropped my laptop when I saw the Progenitus. It just...
I know, it was really
so
embarrassing.
sick.
Yeah. that Twin Flame Tyrant is, I'm going to need a full playset of that, please.
And finally, Max, there are some promos that people get their hands on, buy box bundle promos.
That's right, yeah. So, as with every set, go to your local store, buy a box, get Solemn Simulacrum, buy a bundle, get Phyrexian Arena. The arena's in all the bundles. The Simulacrum you're gonna get, you'll get while supplies last at your local store. You buy a display of any type, and then they'll hook you up.
I'm really looking forward to this set. I really, really am. I remember the days of playing my 67-card blue-black terrible Infect deck. I took it into the LGS. Dean behind the counter was like, oh, maybe you want to make some cards. I was like, no, it's perfect.
Right, with 18 lands as discussed previously.
That's right. Why would I play more? I don't
Absolutely.
need any more. No, it's fine. This set harkens back to some of those memories, those thoughts, those feelings. I can't wait to play with newer players who are going through that for the first time, sort of having their magic experience, their on-ramp. So I want to thank the three of you for taking the time out to talk to us about this set as a whole. Will you please join me in thanking our three guests up here on the stage? It's been terrific to have their company, Ari, Max, and Carmen. So for anyone in your life that may be looking to start their Magic journey, Magic Foundations is here. And in the lead up to this set, we were able to have a bit of fun with some of the marketing promotional stuff that was coming out. Some of the videos that were made were a little silly. So as we make our way off stage now, we're going to share one of these ads that you'll be seeing for Magic Foundations. But once again, thanks for being here. Thanks for your attention. Stick around. Game Night's Live coming back later on. On behalf of the entire panel here on the stage, thanks for being part of our Foundations preview panel. Please enjoy this ad for Magic Foundations.
I'm bored.
What do you want to do?
Anyone want to play Magic?
deck? Yeah! Let's get cracking! Magic! Magic! Let's play Foundation!